On this video, we're going to be doing an overview and a review of one of my favorite books, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And not only have I read this book, but I had direct access to a mentor that was incredibly great friends with Earl Nightingale. So he shared with me specific things that he didn't even necessarily put in this book that can transform everything. So I'm going to share my two biggest life-changing takeaways from this book. I'm also going to share the story on how I met my mentor and what he instilled in me from being best friends practically with Earl Nightingale. And again, on all these reviews, I always like to take these concepts and give you direct access to things that are applicable so you can take action on them and go out there and get results. I think there's so many people that get stuck in just reading and consuming and known as infobesity. But I like to make these reviews so that you can take action on them and actually get results in your life. What's up, guys? Nico Orapkalis. Glad to have you here on the channel. We are on a mission to creating 90 videos in 90 days so that you can become a magnetic manifester just like hundreds of people inside of our Skool community. So if you would like to be a part of this mission, you'd like to be a part of this 90-day kick of making 90 quality YouTube videos in 90 days, make sure and subscribe to the channel. If you want to join our Skool community where we dive much deeper into these topics and do Q&As, we do a live every single week. Head on over to Skool. All the links are down in the video description. But let's talk about these two specific life-changing realizations from this book. And then I'm also going to get into the story on how I met my mentor, what he instilled in me from being really good friends with Earl Nightingale. It's a really wild story. So the two biggest, let's talk about those right away. The two life-changing really realizations that I got from this book. The first thing is, you become what you think about most of the time. I want to say that one more time. You become you become what you think about most of the time. So really think about this. Really think about what you want. Really think about how you want to be successful. Because whatever you think about and you do it on a consistent daily basis every single day, that's what you're going to feel. That's what you're going to experience. Okay, and I'm going to get into a little bit of the neuroscience behind it, as I always like doing, because I think that brings a lot of validity to it. Once I discovered the neuroscience and the energetics behind all this, it really shifted things for me and it became much less of a woo-woo thing. And so from a neuroscientific level, the reason that our thoughts create our life and what we think about most of the time is what we create in our life is because every time you think a thought, it releases a chemical inside of your body. And then your body starts getting conditioned to that. And whatever we feel is what we are actually attracting and gravitating towards us. I talk a lot about this in the Joe Dispenza meditation books, or the meditations and the books. So I strongly recommend that you go watch those videos if you have not yet. I do a lot of book reviews on this channel and I'm going to continue. So if you guys have any requests, obviously make sure. But that's really the gist, is that like our thoughts literally determine how we feel. How we feel determines on what we actually attract, because we're only ever attracting more of what we're feeling, right? And it's backed by decades of science. So you think about what you want, and then that's going to eventually come into your life. And I'm going to share my second principle from this book that ties into that perfectly, but I want to share a quick little metaphor of your thoughts become things. Thoughts become your life. Whatever you think about most of the time is what you get in your life. Right? So we want to think about our minds, and even specifically, this gets more into like, again, the neuroscience, but the subconscious mind. And that's really what our conscious mind, whatever we're thinking, that's being directly fed into our subconscious mind. And that's really the system that drives everything and determines how we feel. So it's really important to be conscious of what we're thinking, because we have 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Right? And so the more conscious that you can be, the more aware of these thoughts that you can be, you can start actually changing these thoughts. And that's why I always recommend, getting a coach or someone that can keep you accountable and can kind of recognize where your thoughts are, because really what will tell you what your thoughts are more than anything is your language. Your language, what you speak, is a direct indicator of what you are thinking. Right? So it's really important to have people that will keep you accountable to what you are saying throughout the day and say, what, you might want to check that one. If you keep on saying something like one that I always catch within myself, I used to, and then with friends and clients, is like I need to, I have to, and those are thoughts of lack, right? It's coming from a place of lack. So that's just a quick example, but it really gives you an indication on what you are thinking, right? So think about this, like metaphorically speaking, is like, it's just like, I talk about this a lot, is that it's like a plant, right? And your ground is your mind, essentially, your subconscious mind. And so when you plant a seed, which is your thoughts, the ground, which is essentially your subconscious mind, it doesn't care what kind of thoughts you put in there. It's just going to sprout it, right? Eventually it's going to sprout it, right? It doesn't care if you put a corn seed in there, or you put in oak seed in there, it's going to sprout an oak tree, or it's going to sprout corn stalks, right? Whatever you put in there, whatever you consistently put in there, that's what it's going to sprout. So that's one of the biggest principles that I got, is that what you become, what you think about most of the time. And a great metaphor is it's like putting a seed in the ground. Whatever the seed is that you put in the ground, it's just going to automatically sprout that. That's what it's going to create in your life. So just think about that and be very conscious of the thoughts that you're putting in there, because if you're not conscious of it, it's typically just going to be thoughts that are programmed by society or childhood wounds, and that's a whole thing in itself. So we can get into that more. Obviously, we talk a lot about that inside of the Skool Community. You're welcome to join that, as mentioned. But the second thing, and I think this is really important to couple it with, is the fact that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Thanks for sticking with me there. But what does that mean? Okay, well, what the heck does that mean? I think the best way to simplify it is momentum. They build momentum. They're going after something. They're moving towards something. So yes, the thoughts are imperative. They're vital. They're the foundation, right? And then it's moving towards what you want. So if you're constantly thinking about how you want to build a $100,000 business, like a lot of our clients, they want to do that, and they in fact do that because they are building momentum towards that. They're learning, they're growing, they're getting advice, they're getting counsel, and on a mindset, on a skill set level, and they're just continually moving and getting momentum every single day. That's what they're focused on. They're constantly getting momentum. And the more that you are in momentum, the more that you can really start just operating from instinct and just having fun and enjoying yourself. And we talk about why that is so important, to have fun and enjoy yourself and be present in the moment, because that's when you're actually moving towards where you want to go. And that's really where you start getting to success, because that is the second principle of the Strangest Secret, right? So the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, meaning you're just in momentum. Your thoughts are right, and then you're moving, you're taking the right actions, and you're moving towards where you want to go, right? So that is the most important thing, is just keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on going towards where you want to go, and be clear on where you want to go. Remind yourself of that in your thoughts, but also just remind yourself that on a consistent daily basis, in terms of what actions are you taking. If you're building a company, and one of the biggest things is generating leads and sales, like you have to keep on doing that as well. Make sure you're generating leads and sales, making YouTube videos, or doing Instagram posts, running ads, doing affiliates, whatever it is like that you're building. Get momentum in it every single day. And that's why we have our habit trackers, our progressive trackers inside of our accelerator program, to make sure that you are moving towards your goals and your dreams, and you're getting that much closer every single day. Because if you're not, then you're going to feel a little stagnant. No matter how many times you think, like, it's really important to think and have those good thoughts, but you want to be moving towards it. It's just like a ship. You can't steer a ship that's parked, right? That's anchored in. Okay, and that brings me to my story about The Strangest Secret and Earl Nightingale. So I have a mentor. He's actually my speaking mentor. He's one of the best in the biz, and so I feel so grateful that I got connected with him. But I was actually on a boat with him at Lake Powell a couple years ago, and we got the opportunity to just go hang out with him. He's a really cool dude, and this one night I finally cracked a story out of him, and he was telling me the story about Earl Nightingale, because he was actually on this boat. He has a picture of him and Earl Nightingale sitting there, and I was just like, what? tell me more about this. And so he told me all about this story and how he lived out in New York. Hey, and then my mentor, his name was Joel, and he in his words was like literally the worst salesman ever. And he was selling basically like encyclopedias, and he went and knocked probably, I think he said like 2,000 doors, somewhere around there. Wild. And he sold one unit, right? And his sales manager told him that you are the worst salesperson ever and you'll never amount to anything. And then his wife, Joel's wife, told him that you need to go, his sales manager gave him a copy of The Strangest Secret and said, you need to read this. Okay, you need to read this, otherwise you have no hope. So he read this, he actually went all in on this, and then he went from basically making 1 out of 2,000 sales, and then he like did something crazy where he sold like 10 out of 15, the next 15 doors that he knocked. And so it was all because of The Strangest Secret, and he started making so much money and selling and setting all these records inside of his sales company. And so what ended up happening is that his wife was like, you need to write this guy. You need to tell him what you just did and how you're thankful for him. And so he wrote him. He was living in Florida at the time, and said, hey, if you're ever in Arizona, because Joel actually moved to Arizona after he had that really powerful sales spree, and said, hey, I wrote them. And then from that letter that he wrote him, they actually became friends. And then Earl Nightingale actually came and visited him in Arizona, brought him on the boat, and they went, just started becoming closer and closer friends. And then he just got that environmental exposure that we talk a lot about on this YouTube channel, as well as the Skool Community, is how important it is to get around the right people, get around the right energy. And the more that Joel got around Earl and Earl got around Joel, there was just like a mastermind, as Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. And when you combine the minds of incredible humans that are always thinking really positively and focus on what they want, and constantly thinking and becoming what they want to become, because they're building that worthy ideal, that momentum, then it just compounds. And so that was the power of him and the two of them getting together. And then Joel has become literally one of the best speaking coaches of all time. And then obviously Earl Nightingale passed, but it's the concepts in this book is that you become what you think about most of the time, and that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. You combine those two, and then you get around the right types of people like we have in our Skool Community. I mean, it does wonders. So that's the gist. I wanted to share that. This is one of my favorite books. It's so simple and it's so small. So it's just a quick little read, and it just gets right to the heart. And those are the biggest concepts that I get from this book every time that I read it. So make sure and get yourself a copy if you have not, or make sure and go implement this stuff. Really focus on what you want, write it down, speak it out. We have a really powerful tool that we offer inside of our Skool Community called Vision Espresso. It's basically a really powerful tool that helps you get clear on what your thoughts are that you want, what your vision is, where you're going, and then it's a customized audio from your future self telling you how your life's about to unfold that keeps your thoughts in a line. I just listened to mine again this morning. I usually update it every quarter, and it's just a really powerful tool to keep your thoughts in line. And then from there, once you listen to it, you're motivated, you're excited. And that's what happens with me all the time, is I listen to it after I do a quick meditation, usually like a Joe Dispenza meditation, and then I'm fired up to get going on the day and make some videos. And that's where this energy really comes from. And I keep on making these videos. We keep on building our Skool Community, and then we start putting out offers for our different products, different services, our different coaching programs. And that's just kind of how I live my life right now. And so I really attest that to obviously the Vision Espresso, but it comes from the concepts that are in books like these and all the other books that I've read, or that I've read and then I've shared with you on this channel. So again, if you guys would like me to review some books that are not yet on this channel, make sure and drop them down in the comments, and then let me know which one of these biggest takeaways that was one of your favorites and what you got from this video, because the more that I can understand you guys and what's resonating with you, I can make these videos that are more tailored to you. And again, that's why we have our Skool Community, to kind of get a gauge on where you guys are at as well. So just wanted to drop all of that. Thank you for watching this video. Truly appreciate your time, and we will see you on the next video.